So I've done a video for a while. I don't even know how long, 5-6 weeks maybe. Last time we had a video, I walked you through the patch and showed you how crappy everything was. Great plant, but no fruits. Been getting a lot of questions on how things are going this year since I haven't been posting. Been staying off social media in general for the most part. But I was thinking the other day, I try to show you my successes and failures, so I figured, why would it be any different this year? And in reality, they're not failures this year, it's just not as good as they could have been. So we'll go through that and show you where these babies are at. Well, I got proof here that the big plant could put on some pumpkins. That was a sucker pumpkin that was on the back here. And I've got another one in there that's about 30% bigger than that one. I had it covered up with a blanket. No sense in looking at it, it looks just like that, only a little bigger. Alright, we'll start with this little dude. This plant here from about that post this way is one plant. It's really small. I pollinated one. Geez, it's been almost 10 days ago, 8 days ago now. And there it is. Not doing well. So that's probably gonna abort. It's not gonna take. I haven't buried any vines on that plant. It was so late. We'll get to that in a minute. I gave up on everything for a little while, and then I started getting some hope down at the other end of the patch, and so I started picking up, but I never did come back to this plant. Do you remember the big plant? The plant that was so huge, but I don't even know what I said in the last video. It had 2 pumpkins on, one at 16, one at 20, and both of those aborted. I pollinated another one at 22 feet, it aborted. Pollinated one at 25 feet. It's taken, but it's kind of slow. I have that on. But this plant is still growing gangbusters, and I've whacked a whole bunch of it out to make room for the other plants. But we'll have a look here. So the plant starts here. All these leaves close to me are this plant, and it goes all the way. This is all the same plant, all the way back to the back wall of the patch, which is almost 40 feet. This is all the same plant, all the way to that post right there, that post. That's all the same plant. It's about 35 feet wide, even with the vines swept back. It's massive, it's healthy. The middle's starting to get a little worn, but it's actually been like that for a while. The rest of it's just crazy healthy. And I let it go. I just stopped dealing with it because the pumpkin's 25 feet down the main now. The secondaries around that pumpkin aren't really growing that well, so it's a lost cause. I'm actually leaving it there to take pest pressure off the other plants, because this big plant, if there's any pests in there, they'll just stay over there because it's got plenty of food for them. While we're over here looking at this big plant, let's look at the stump here. Biggest stump I've ever had. Pretty big stump. You can see that. It's big. I just saw a big snake go into the plant. I don't think it was a red racer. I really don't care. I know it wasn't a rattlesnake, so it doesn't really matter. See that little dude there? That is day 14. I'm gonna say it is 15 pounds. We're way down the vine here. This is the other end of the pumpkin, or the other end of the plant. Pretty much everything you can see is this plant. I'll let the weeds go. They're all crazy over here. Pumpkins are overtaking them now. But it has one, right? 15 pounds at day 14. That's still better than my 1246 and it was last year. So it's ahead of that, but it's behind any of my other big ones. So the first plant we looked at, the little one, that was a 1246. The big plant, also a 1246. And this third plant If you guessed 1246, you guessed correctly. And the only reason this is a 1246 is because it had a 2158 in there that grew that ribbon vine, so I had to cut it out. This was a backup plant. It's doing okay. I also gave up burying vines on it. It's about 25% buried. And it's not real big, but it's decent. Let's get a size comparison here. It was 20 pounds at day 15. And that was a few days ago. So I would say it's not double that, but it might be 30 now. I said, I don't know if you can see back in there. None of the vines are buried. I buried the main, and that's about it. And now it's too late to get in there. I'm not even going to mess with it. It's late enough in the season now, I don't even care. Let's see what we can get out of the plant as it is. Let's look at this guy now. This is the 1484. The leaves are very healthy looking. They're all kind of folded up. They look really nice. I don't know if you can see it, but there's kind of a line across there where there's bigger leaves and smaller leaves, and that's the line between the two plants. So this plant is not very big. It's not very big. I'll have to get the total square footage, but I'd be hard pressed to say it's 300 square feet. I know it's hard to tell. When I watch people's videos, I can't tell what shape the plant is, right? But the stump is back there right in front of that little greenhouse thing. And the main vine runs down behind this blue tarp, comes down here, and then kind of trails off into the weeds. So all the secondary vines come off to the side here. They're growing straight toward the metal. But I hooked, since I didn't have that much room, I hooked them around. And these 4 vines here are all secondary vines. And I'm bringing them down the side here so that I can get more area behind the plant. I might lose this first one because the pumpkin's already pulling on it pretty hard. But again, it's the 1484 Frias. It was at 119 pounds at day 20, which is my best 20-day number. A lot of people say day 20 doesn't matter, and I'm partially in agreement with that, but I also believe that the bigger you can get it by day 20, the more room it has to grow after that, if that makes sense, without worrying about blowing it up. So there it is. Sounds hollow, real bad. But at least it's growing. Got a really short stem. This secondary vine, I pulled the roots out today at lunch so that it had a little more room. That's the only good thing about having it wrapped at a 90 degree is you got a little relief there. I pulled these out right here. That allowed it to move a little bit. Sand is cracking, which is great. See the sand cracks? Because that means it's growing. You know, even though I'm late, season's late, I actually think I have more plant this year than I did last year because everything is full. The corner I'm standing in here is basically the only area in the whole patch that's not full, besides right in front of that little pumpkin up there. But that's it, and I'm going to run these vines probably all the way down. I also have all these after the pumpkin vines to fill in. I'm not burying those, I'm just letting them, they're already all rooted on the bottom. That's enough to keep the plant going forward and yada yada. Anyway, so what started out as a pretty crappy year has a possible redeeming quality here. We'll see. The plant is just small. I don't see it getting all that big. Oh, the 2 plants out there. I don't know if I talked about, I'm sure I talked about them last time. They're done. Shortly after that video, both vine tips got eaten off. So I've just left them. I've put a shade net over them and I've left them, and they've kind of outgrown the shade net, but there's no pumpkins on and there's squash bugs all over out there. That's predominantly the reason I'm leaving them, because there's rabbits and stuff that have been eating on them. Just leave them out there. So anyway, sorry about the late update, I guess. It's frustrating, right? The late plants were my fault. I didn't get them out. I didn't start them soon enough. And then once I did start them, it was 100 degrees out already. And they really took hits for a long time before they finally started growing. The big guy was out ahead the whole time, doing fine, but just would not set a pumpkin. So we're gonna regroup after this year and see where we're at. May have to rest the patch a year. Thanks for watching. Might make a way off this year if we even have way offs. Right now they're still on. I have a sneaking suspicion they're going to get canceled, but we'll see. I guess if it's a year to have a bad year, having a bad year when there's no way offs is about as lucky as you can get.